Good afternoon. My name is Floyd Bradley, and thank you for joining us today. I've got quite a lot to present here, so I'm going to start right away. First, the disclaimer, which you can read as opposed to me going through every line. But obviously, it starts out futures trading and options trading have large potential rewards, but large potential risks. And on to the second page, finishing. You should carefully consider whether trading or active investing is suitable for you. You may lose all or even more of your initial investment. Quick little overview of my career. This is really, I guess, my fourth career. I started as a consultant, went into software marketing, and then retired and became an active investor where I did a lot of futures trading from the year 2016. And then a few years ago, decided to automate some of my ideas. And so I guess I'm technically now in fintech. And the summary of all that is it's now TradePilot AI. This is the front page, home page of our website, www.tradepilotai.com. We are a NinjaTrader ecosystem vendor and have presented for them, also for Traders Corner, Timing Research, and we'll be doing another seminar on April 16th. Again, I think for Traders Corner. We have services and products. The main services are the Sunday Education and the Futures Trading Club. This is basically a form of Sunday education, but since Easter is this Sunday, I thought I would do this on a Thursday. The Futures Trading Club we do every weekday, Monday through Friday. It's a trade room that goes from 9:15 Eastern to 11 every day. 90 minutes of trading, mostly automated. All 10 of our bots run against 5 instruments, so 50 charts running at once. And it's a free to attend, but it's a silent trade room. The bots are basically running automatically, and I just zoom in on zoom out, depending on which ones are active, which ones are demonstrating the way that the bots work. In terms of our products, our strategies all work on NinjaTrader. This is the one-liner for each. We have 9 that have been released. We have one in beta. That's where I get the number 10 from now. And I'll describe each of these in a bit more detail, but that's not the focus of today. But I wanted to just step back and remind people who may or may not have used automated strategies in the past or may have seen them marketed on the internet or on YouTube or Instagram or Reddit or LinkedIn, all the different Facebook, all the different social medias, is that a lot of automated strategies are what we would call black box. That means that the logic is hidden, the indicators can't be seen, the algorithms are unknown, the rules are proprietary and secret. The user has no control on changing the settings. They're quite mysterious. Most of these have incredibly inflated marketing claims, including that they use AI when they don't use AI. They just use algorithms. Very aggressive sales. Often they're offshore, unregulated exchanges. Most of them are forex, some are futures, and normally they're operating on the vendor server. And then they often have a very high buy-in price like 10, 15, $20,000 to get involved. White box is what we are doing. The logic is transparent. The rules are pretty obvious, and we can explain them if you ever want to know them more. The entries are all visible. You can see the lines for the targets and stops. And um, as a result, it's very educational. All the settings can be adjusted by the user, which is our strength, but as you'll see through the presentation, can be also the challenge because there's so many different settings that you can adjust. But they are testable by backtest, by forward test. whether you want to test forward in sim or live cash account. And again, most of the white box strategies that I've seen on the market tend to be futures, and with a few exceptions for forex. And they're usually executed by the trader on his or her own CPU, her own laptop, his own desktop, or via VPS, virtual server. So our white box strategies are the ones I just showed you before, but here's a quick one-liner for each. And you can see we have about 4 trending strategies: trend bot, bouncer bot, squeeze bot, and the ATM bot. We have 3 or so mean reversions: the reversal bot, the reversion bot, and to some extent the auction bot. And then the scalar bot is kind of a hybrid because it works well in sideways markets, but also it can be advantageous, make profits if the sideways market starts to trend either up or down, if you've hit the reentry button, which is an option. And then the auction bot and breakout bot are one-offs. The breakout bot is, obviously a breakout strategy up or down. It's quite common for other vendors to have breakout strategies. Auction bot is very rare. We think we're the only company who actually has an auction bot where it actually identifies an unfinished auction and targets it for retracement back to um, that magic bullet, that magic cookie. I'm not going to go through these because the presentation is not about our portfolio, but about TrendBot and how to backtest it for settings. But just quickly, this is what TrendBot looks like after a successful trade. ScalarBot, this is in the middle of a trade where you can see retracement entries ready to buy on a pullback and targets above. Sorry, BouncerBot works similarly, but it bounces off of the slow, medium, and fast moving averages. Reversal bot works on a pivot concept, and we use an ATM for that, any ATM that you want. Auction bot is, again, I said, it's quite unique. This cyan thick line at the bottom there is an unfinished auction, and you can see 3 successful trades in the past: 1, 2, 3, 1 red unsuccessful trade. But it looks like, given the candles going down, the next 3 are going to be successful as well. Breakout bot can be used in ATM, or you can use other methods besides an ATM. You can do fixed targets and stops, or you can do a percentage of the range. Here you can see the actual 30-minute range. You can do 15, 30, 60, whatever you wish. You can see the high and the low have been determined by our bot. And then when the price broke through after 30 minutes were over, after the price broke through, in this case, broke up, the entry went in and it started making money, as you can see by the green dotted line, and it's currently in a trade making money. SqueezeBot works on the basis of the squeeze indicator, which we have written one of our own, comes with the product. And when the dot is red, it's a squeeze. But when the dot is green, the squeeze is fired, which is when the actual entry kicks in automatically, and it kicks in the direction of the momentum histogram down here, which you see is bearish. And here's an example where you have like 4 or 5 trades successful. Reversion bot works on the standard deviations. Here's the first standard, second, and third. You can set it to bounce off the third down to the second, or off the second down to the first, or some factor in between. And the last one that we've introduced is the ATM bot, which, like it says, it's based only on ATMs. You can use one of our ATMs, or you can use one of your own, and is working on the basis of a moving average cross. But you can have filters as well, so it's more than just a simple cross if you filter. I'm not going to show you any of these live, but if you wish to see them, all you have to do is go to our YouTube channel. We have over 220 videos showing all the bots working against those 5 different instruments on various days. I think we've shown maybe have for the last 18 months. And it's pretty much chronological order, so the more recent ones are going to be shown at the top of the list. So let's delve down into TrendBot and how to test for good settings. Why TrendBot? Well, it was our very first product, almost 2.5, 3 years ago. It's got the largest installed base of all of our products. It was our best-selling strategy 2 years out of 3.5. And if you actually look at TrendBot trading against the NQ, that was the most profitable bot instrument combination in all the live trading we did at the Futures Trading Club last year. And it also is doing very well this year. It happens to be number two in January, February, and March. Anyway, so it's a good one to concentrate on and good one to explain. Now, for any white box strategy, including TrendBot, here's the crux of the presentation today. Because you have all these things you have to decide, that you have to decide them. We can't just give you one default setting and tell you to go with it. If we did that, it would be basically a black box, and you'd have to trust us. And these things may change, and they may change month to month, and they may actually change between traders because different people have different risk reward ratios, different risk tolerances, different size accounts. Some are trading cash, some are trading prop firms. Um, but I want to give you an idea of we're trying to help our users get started with some settings that seem to work well, but we still encourage you to try other settings yourselves. So we're going to go through most of these now in the next 30 minutes or so. This is some additional filters. Some options and settings are based on the actual strategy specific, and then money management goes across the board. Um, different, if you had all 9 of our strategies, all 10, you'd know that some of them have different entry methods. Some have flexibility within those entry methods, but we'll specifically talk about TrendBot. But all of our strategies have money management options, and they now all have the same, which is the account daily goal and account max loss for the day. You can use one or both, or one or the other, or both. We have a strategy daily goal max loss, which sounds similar, but it's for when you're having, let's say, multiple bots on the same account, and say you use 2 different tabs on your chart. So you can actually ask a particular strategy to quit when it hits its bogey or quit when it hits its max loss, but the account can keep running with the other bot, or you could have 3 bots or 4. So that's why you have a strategy versus account. Within that, or lower than that, at a lower level, normally you have a trade goal and trade loss, and of course you always have, profit target and profit loss. Stop loss. We also have 2 account profit protection categories, one for the total account and one for just the trade. So you can indicate a high watermark and whether you want it X dollars or Y percentage below that high watermark. I've been using that more and more, the account profit protection in the futures trade room this year, and it's improved my results. So I teased this a little bit in my email about using the strategy analyzer and why that cannot be recommended. Strategy analyzer is based on what NinjaTrader calls historical data, and turns out what they mean by that is price bars, historical actual price bars, but 1 minute price bars, not 1 tick or 30 seconds or something in between, but just 1 minute. The benefit is it does allow backtesting and does allow automatic optimization, but I'll come to the downside of the 1 minute price bars in my next slide or two. Playback using market replay data is also used for backtesting, but not for automatic optimization. You'd have to optimize manually, and we're going to go through that and show you why that can be tedious and frustrating, but why it might be the only method that you can rely on. The difference with the data is that market replay uses tick by tick price data, if you have it downloaded, which is another issue. And then, of course, there's finally simulation, whether it's or live testing, whether it's in sim or whether it's in a cash account, with live data feeds where you are getting tick data. You can use that going forward, not going backwards. And as opposed to using hypothetical slippage, you're getting a much more realistic slippage and therefore more accurate results. On the other hand, it doesn't allow you to test backwards, which is a limitation. So here's the problem with Strategy Analyzer. Well, this is the process. I'll talk about the problems on the next slide. For those of you who have not used Strategy Analyzer, this is a simple, primer. You load the analyzer. You can choose backtesting or optimization. For any of those or either of those, you have to select the time period. You can say, I want to test for, 2026 year to date, or I want to test the last 12 months, or I want to test 10 years. I mean, it is great in terms of being able to test long periods of time. And then you choose your time filter. You can be all day. You can do RTH. You can do ETH. You can do something like this, the two most active hours of the day. But it will handle that. And then you enter which ranges you want to test. So let's say you're not sure whether you should trade a 3-minute chart or a 5-minute chart. So you can put into it, I want to test from 1 to 5 minute charts in increments of one. Or you can say, I want to test 2 minutes to 10 minutes in increments of two. And so it'll test 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Then you can choose another parameter like moving averages for your, say you have a moving average crossover strategy. You can test SMA versus EMA. You can test EMAs 6, 8, and 10 crossing the 19, 21, 23. If you take that alone, you've got three fast EMAs and three medium or slow EMAs. So you have 3 times 3. That means 9 permutations right there. And then you say you did those two, you have the 5 minutes. So you got 5 times 9, you've got 45 permutations. And then if you're, say, testing for a full year, you've got 250 trading days or 220 trading days, whatever the numbers, times 45. And so you can see what happens is the more parameter permutations you test, the longer, and the longer the time period, the longer the runtime. And I've seen optimization take many hours, even days, if you use the strategy analyzer. And then it has the drawback you can only optimize on one result. Um, I usually use net profit, but I think the default with strategy analyzer is profit factor. So you could go through this whole thing and realize you've optimized on the wrong thing and have to start another 6-hour run all over again. But anyway, that's basically the way the process works. Now, what are the limitations? Well, we feel it's a very big limitation, the fact that only historical data can be used. Because again, as I mentioned before, historical data is a 1-minute bar. And for a day trading strategy, intraday and scalping, both of which are, pretty much cover the bots that we sell, this is a huge limitation because within 1 minute in a real environment, price can go up and down and up and down. You can go from open to high, you could go back to low, you could go to close, and then you can do it again. Price can go low to high, high to low, can go all the, in 1 minute, particularly in the 9:30 to 10 time frame, you can have big swings. And the analyzer really just uses a very simple approximation of what happened in that 1 minute. I won't go into the exact detail, but it basically uses such a simple approximation that in any kind of a ATR that's significant, it's just unrealistic in terms of what happens. And so we think the strategy analyzer has proven, when we've tested it, to give you unreliable and incorrect results, and would therefore give you the wrong conclusion as to what your settings should be. So what's the alternative? Let me go through the process with playback, with market replay data. First, you have to download the market replay data, which is all tick priced and more accurate. but tedious to do. Um, and then what we will do in our bot optimization lab is we'll test every day for a calendar month, do like a deep dive. So you've got 20, 21, 22 trading days, depending on the month. Or you can go further. You could actually test it for 2 months, 3 months, maybe even up to four with a single expiry contract expiration date. Um, but you've got to do it one day at a time and then enter the results in a spreadsheet. Then you have to move to the second next day and do it again, run it. Say you're just running 9:30 to 11:30. So now you go to the third day, you run that, and it takes maybe 5 minutes, couple minutes. Anyway, it's very tedious, but you're getting daily data, and you can put that in your spreadsheet and add it up to the end of the month. Or if you want to make that more automatic, you can run the entire month in one pass, but this takes time. And for example, I've got three laptops that I run overnight, and they are each running a different test. Let's say of February is the last one I've done. And each one can take, 3 or 4 hours. Um, but at least what happens there is you get the final result for the month. You don't get the daily data, but you get the result for the month. If you want the daily data, then you just go to your trade performance report and you export it to Excel, and then you consolidate or combine each day so you have your daily result. But normally I find just getting the month's result is a good start, because then with that you also get, for the whole month, you get the summary and analysis out of the trade performance report. Your summary, being, let's say, net profit, your drawdown, your win-loss ratio, your percent profitable, your Sharpe ratios, etc. Sortino rate, all the things that some people like to look at. Whereas you can't get that if you do one day at a time. We typically will start a new month of deep dive testing by testing the best settings we found from previous months. And often they still aren't good enough, so we'll test with additional iterations, um, trying a different stop loss or a different profit target or a different um, chart time frame. And you just keep doing that and doing that on an iterative basis. And many rounds later, after you've rinsed and repeated, you get a much better idea of how the settings can be optimized or at least improved to get a better performance, which doesn't guarantee the same for the next month, but gives you a better idea of how the bot works and how it can be improved. We start my testing using no money management restrictions, so that's no account daily goal, no account max loss, etc. And then if I have time and if the results don't look good, then we'll add money management restrictions and repeat the best cases again. Um, in terms of reviewing the results, the ones I look at the most are the summary statistics and the two key graphs, net profit per day and equity curve, which the equity curve is basically a cumulative net profit of your net profit per day. The summary statistics I typically look at are net profit, um, max drawdown, and then they don't show it, but I'll calculate the max drawdown as a percentage of the net profit. I call that drawdown percentage. I'll look at the profit percentage, the win-loss ratio, the average dollar per trade, and the number of trades. Those are the key elements that I would typically look at. We're not going to have time to go through all those today, but we'll focus on net profit for now. Now, what's the problem with market replay? First, the data has to be downloaded for each instrument one day at a time. I do this on a Saturday after the week is finished, but with 3 laptops and 5 instruments, it's 15 times 5, it's a number, it takes about an hour. You may only want to download NQ or MNQ, in which case it could be done much faster. I like to download all the five instruments that we track, so I have a greater history to be able to go back to at any time. The backtesting is much more manual than Strategy Analyzer. I just described what it is, and if that wasn't obvious, it should be by now. And then because there's no automatic optimization, it effectively means you're optimizing by triangulation. You're optimizing by rinse and repeat. You're optimizing by narrowing down the results till you get to a certain combination of settings that seem to be optimal or ideal. So it's not fun and it's not easy, but it's more accurate in our opinion based on using Strategy Analyzer. Um, and yeah, I'll show you my spreadsheets in a minute, but they can be quite tedious as well. This is why having all these frustrations of these two Strategy Analyzer and playback mechanisms is why we created our bot optimization lab to spend a lot of time doing this. I started doing these deep dives in August of 2024 and then repeated 3 months later, repeated again 3 or 4 months later. Then we were using what I call a portfolio method. You can actually, with using the strategy, daily goal, strategy, max loss, you can optimize or tell each strategy, each instrument when to stop, and the other instruments will keep trading. And we optimize on that way. Since very few of our customers run any bot against 5 instruments or more at the same time, I stopped doing that. And starting in May and more recently, have been concentrating just on one, the instruments running independently of each other, not in a portfolio. And I calculated the work done in November for the deep dive. There were 49 iterations, and in February, 131 iterations. This goes back to August 2024, where you can actually see the daily results. This was done day by day by day by day. And this was also done using a portfolio where about if it lost more than 2,500, no, sorry, if it lost more than 1,250, I believe it stopped. And if it made more than 5,000, it stopped. Anyway, we did this for TrendBot, ScalarBot, BouncerBot, Reversal Bot, and Auction Bot. And I have the full spreadsheets from that. But just wanted to give you an idea of the kind of spreadsheet you'd have to use if you wanted to see daily results back in time. This was the sort of summary, the high-level summary of those analyses after we optimized. And they were all fairly good results. They were using up to 5 contracts max, and they were being in a portfolio by 5 instruments. More recently, I just saved some of these to be able to demonstrate. I'm concerned about time. So this presentation will be sent out. And if you click on these YouTube links, you'll see what the backtesting looks like for 3 days. For one day, you'll see what it looks like for 3 days. And I haven't put on a whole month on YouTube, but you can do that yourself and see what it's like. The results from those days, I mean, the kind of way you look at this after you do it is you look at your summary report in trade performance. This was like the 3 days. It made $7,000. It had a max drawdown of 1.3. The profit factor was 3.13. The percent profitable was 74%. The win-loss was 1.12. Now, these were 3 good days. I'm not saying this is the way the bot performs all the time, but this just gives you the methodology of what you want to look at. And to look at the analysis, instead of summary up here, you choose analysis, and then you get your charts, like your chart per day or your cumulative, also known as your equity curve. But again, this is 3 days, so don't concentrate on this right now. But I'll show you a longer month for February later. Now, the November, I'm not going to spend much time on November because I spent more time on February recently. But the November results without using profit target or stop loss, and I'll explain why that can work well in TrendBot. For the entire month of November, using a 3-minute chart and using 9:35 in the morning to 11:30, and I'll explain. Well, I'll show you what the best permutation was for February. But anyway, it came out to $110,000 of profit using 5 contracts a day. Max drawdown was 25, so you're talking about like 0.25 max drawdown ratio. Had a profit factor of 1.72 over a course of a month is a good number, especially you can see it here. It wasn't very profitable per day, or sorry, overall, but the ratio of winners to losers was 3.31. So that's where it did very well. And this was the results per day, which led to an equity curve like this. So you see a drawdown here, you see a drawdown here, you see a drawdown on the last day. Now that was Thanksgiving. I'm not sure whether that would have been a good day to trade or not. But anyway, give you an idea of the methodology. So for the February deep dive, I wanted to answer these questions. I wanted to present them to you in a way that shows how I got the data and how I came to my conclusions. And so for those of you who use TrendBot, who want to license or lease TrendBot, what you might want to start with, I wanted to show you the process. So I didn't answer these questions in order, and some of the questions in some ways got answered simultaneously because I used a matrix. But let me try to go through that and not confuse you too much. In terms of which instrument for TrendBot, well, that's the question. Good start. And I have pretty conclusive answer on this one. It's really NQ. This goes back to August, and just looking across, NQ was first, RTY was second, the others less meaningful. Here is that same summary here. November, ES, NQ, and RTY all did well. Once again, gold and crude showed nothing. In March, again, crude nothing. Let's stop using crude. Gold, okay, but it didn't do very well in the other 2 months. I would not trade gold. RTY disappointed, but once again, NQ shined, and ES was not bad except for the August number. Anyway, there's no question in my mind that NQ is my recommended instrument for TrendBot. Here's one more. I'll go through this chart again, but if you look at, this is the November number I showed you that came out to 109,000. That happened to be a 3-minute chart between 9:30 and 11:30, and it was using MA pairs, these MA pairs, which I'll come back and discuss in a minute. But if you look across here and just say, looking at all of the MA pairs and just adding that up as an indication, again, don't trade TrendBot on CL, don't trade it on GC, and don't trade it on RTY, but definitely trade it on NQ. And if you really want to trade a second instrument, I would recommend ES at that level. So my conclusions to you are: which instrument for TrendBot? NQ for sure, ES secondarily. Which direction? Well, I'm not even going to give you an analysis for this. You can choose in all of our bots whether you go long only, short only, or both directions. since you really don't know at 9:30 or 9:45 or 10, whenever you're going to start, which direction the market's going to move, it probably is not a good idea to choose a direction like long only or short only. Because you may, if it say you choose long only and it goes short, you're going to miss your opportunity to make money, and vice versa. Now, if you really are studying the daily candles, you have a strong indication from other trade rooms or your gut feel or your indicators, that your favorite indicators, that it's going to be, only long or only short, um, or mostly long, mostly short, then you can obviously choose one. But we don't make any distinction in the trade room. We always have both. And I would recommend that, unless you have a strong reason to think otherwise. So what chart time frame? I've been using 3 minutes for the most part for all the bots, just to have to, instead of trying to have to test every single bot with every single chart time frame. But it's always worth stepping back and taking a look. And sure enough, I found a different answer for February. So again, I showed you this to you. No, I showed you November. This is February now. Um, on the left here, you have 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute, 15 minute. Those were the 5 chart time frames that we tested, and did immediately submit and wait until flat start behaviors. I'll come back to that. But if you just take, just literally add the different permutations of MA pairs, um, and you get 293 for the 5 minute. So the 5 minute here was just across the board was better. It was the best, and the 15 minute was second best. If you look across on the wait until flat options, um, the 5 minute was second best, and the 15 minute was best. In terms of third best, well, the 3M still did pretty well here, so it's not a bad one. Although, funny enough, for some reason, when I tested this 3 times, it still came out the same way. Oops, hang on. But you can see 3 minute over here on wait until flat did very well. So what was the conclusion from February? The best chart time frame to use would be 5 minutes, secondarily 15. And if you use immediately submit, 3 minutes seems to have worked well, but not when wait until flat. What start behavior? Well, I use the same chart again. This is start behavior, immediately submit, and this is start behavior, wait until flat. You can just take an eyeball and look at the total down here, 748 compared to the total here, 485. And if you look at individual totals, that was higher, that was higher, that was higher. This was lower, 10 minutes was lower, and that was lower. Oh, sorry. But based on the fact that we're recommending 5 minutes, or, well, okay, so 5 minutes for either one was not much different. But anyway, right now I'm leaning towards using immediately submit, and that's what I started. I changed the futures trading club to start with IS. So that's my conclusion on that. Now, which MA pair surprised me a little bit. If you have up to 5 contracts with TrendBot, you can choose your up to 20 moving average pairs. When we ship the product, we ship it with 5 contracts in the default at the fourth MA pair, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And when you see the results, but a couple of things that come out is that, take the NQ again, since we're concentrating on the NQ. It almost didn't matter whether you use the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or anything in the middle. They all were profitable. Yes, this one yellow was the best, and actually ES was actually, sorry, ES was, I should have made that yellow, but basically a little bit better. But basically, you know, we ship it with the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but I'm recommending now the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But the difference wasn't huge. In fact, even the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for NQ was just about the same. So that I think is a lot of people fret over MA pairs, but I'd say don't fret as much as you maybe you used to fret. So again, this was February, this was November, this was February. And again, you see, on the 5 minutes here, 56. Okay, 22 was not good, but 56, 54, 53. Those three were pretty sweet spot. This was somehow a little bit lower than the 6, 7, 8, but I tested it. That's the way it came out. But either case, 5 minutes looks good, and probably 3, 4, 5, 6, because again, or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I actually put 4 down here because they really don't matter as much. But right now for the futures trade club, I'm moving to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for TrendBot. Which time filter? I haven't shown you analysis for looking at pre-market versus market open versus middle of the day versus end of day versus Asia session, European open. But I've not found anybody who found TrendBot. No one's come back to me and said TrendBot does better in the Asian open or in the European open, or certainly not the doldrums in New York between like 11:30 Eastern and 1:30. And so I have typically focused on the open session and what is the best time filter there. This surprised me a little bit because I've been using 9:30 or 9:35 recently, or I've been using 9:30 all last year, and I started using 9:31, 9:32, sometimes 9:35 for the trade room. But for February, starting at 10 o'clock was in fact far better than starting at 9:30 or any of the 5-minute increments up to 9:45. So I'm not stopping the 9:30, 9:35 option with the futures trading club, but I'm adding another 2, one for ES and one for NQ, where I start at 10 and I use the 5-minute as opposed to 9:30 with the 3-minute. So which time filters for the TrendBot? I'm recommending 10 to 11:30. Or if you want to start earlier, 9:45, since that was the second best result there. So that's basically what we're suggesting for the cash open start time. For targets and stops, this is a very short. Hang on, let's see if I can make this come up automatically. I'm not sure I can. Yeah. It just shows you lots of, when you get the presentation, you can copy and paste this, and it will be basically, it'll show my spreadsheet of 149 iterations, and some of those, and how many of them using different stops and different targets did not give anywhere near the result of what you've just seen. So basically, I couldn't find any combination of generic targets and stops for TrendBot that came out better than actually using no targets and stops at all. And if you wonder why that's true, it's because TrendBot works on the basis that when the shortest moving average MA pair crosses, you enter a trade. And as additional crosses happen with the other MA pairs, you pile on, add more contracts. And then when the shortest pair begins to reverse, you actually reverse. So basically, TrendBot, you can always be in the market until you hit your daily goal or until your time filter ends. And you don't actually have to have a target and a stop. You can actually make profit from when your reversal happens, and then sometimes make profit in two directions, up and then down, or down and up. So for February and for November, the answer is no targets and stops was the best setting. In terms of money management restrictions, I didn't do every one possible, but the one that I did that I thought made the most sense was trying to reduce the loss on losing days. And I ran the account max loss at $1,000. I ran it at 2, I ran it at 3, and you can see all the way up to 12,000 account max loss, account daily max loss. And the peak in terms of performance was 7,000. But in fact, when I used no money management restriction at all, the profit was 121,000. So in fact, even this 7,000 number gave a poorer performance than using no money management restrictions. So the conclusion had to be from that the best money management restriction was none. Now, again, if you're trading a prop firm, or you're trading, or you have a high risk tolerance, you may not want to have the kind of maximum, drawdowns that you saw earlier. On the other hand, I'm using 5 minis, and you could use 5 micros, or you can use other permutations, use fewer MA pairs, use three minis, or use 10 micros, or use 2 minis or something. Anyway, it's a little hard to go through every permutation. I certainly can't tailor this for every person's specific case. So the conclusions then were which instruments you should trade: TrendBot and Q, what chart time frame is best, 5-minute, what time filter is best, 10 o'clock, closing at 11:30. So therefore 10 o'clock start. Which MA pairs are best? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, although 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 will probably give you the same or similar results, maybe even 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In terms of based on November and February, no stop loss, no profit target for TrendBot is actually a better result setting, a more optimal setting, and same with money management restriction. Now, the money management restriction that I've started using in a trade room is the account profit protection. I did not have time, nor did the rest of the resources for the bot optimization have time to test account profit protection, and we may do that for the next deep dive. Now, can you improve the results even better? We do have a squeeze filter in TrendBot. We do have a VWAP filter. We may be adding another filter or two in the future. I've tested the squeeze filter in the TrendBot, and it can sometimes improve performance, but it reduces the number of trades. So you might have a slightly better profit factor, but you may only trade, 10 trades out of 20 days instead of having a trade result every day. So your total number is not going to be as high, though it might improve your profit percentage. I talked about these before in terms of the metrics I like to look at from the trade performance report, and this is from the summary page. And in terms of the charts, the main charts from the analysis page, net profit per day and cumulative, the equity curve. And so if we look at the February results for those optimal settings, you see on the summary statistics 122,000 profit with only a drawdown of 18, which is, I think, about less than, it's about 16, 17%. Quite a good profit factor, 3.26. Huge average trade, $869 per trade. That's huge. And then this time we had a 58% profitable profit percentage with a 2.37 win to loss ratio. So that's what the equity curve looked like for February on those best settings. Now I changed or I added in the Futures Trading Club these best settings for TrendBot, starting at 10 with 5-minute chart time frame instead of 3. And yesterday NQ made 5,000. Today it made 28,000. Now again, this is just 5 contracts max. If you traded micros and used the same settings, just divide this by 10, you'd have $2,783 trading it that way. This was I took a screenshot at the end of today. You can see NQ at 27, the other one at 14, right? Those two top numbers there are the same numbers here. Yeah, by the way, this link when you get the presentation will show you the actual video. But anyway, this was the final result. You can see um, the dotted green line, the profit, which is the height of the line is the profit with the 27,000. Now, this was in sim, unfortunately, but that's what I do. So, as a reminder for those who don't have TrendBot or don't have any of our strategies, you can license them for a lifetime license of $24.95, or you can lease them. And we have 4 different leases. It's cheaper to have a 3-month lease than a 1-month per month. Same with 6, same with 12. And obviously, it's cheaper to have a lifetime license if you're going to use the product more than a year and a half or so. You purchase on our website, sign up as a member, receive the software user manual and getting started guide, submit your machine ID, and then start trading. Our licenses include 2 CPUs, free tech support, free upgrades, and free updates. And if you want to have multiple bots, just email me. I can come up with a volume discount. So we have a special for the Easter weekend and for this webinar. I have 3 or so, 4 of these. So if you're interested in licensing a lifetime license of TrendBot or any of our bots, you can get it for $12.48 by using this promo code when you check out with your credit card at this link. But if you're watching live here and you haven't signed off, I'm offering you a 60% discount, which brings your $12.48 down to $9.98. And both of these are only good till Monday night, Easter Monday night. If you'd rather lease instead of buy license, I have 2 lease options here. But I have another lifetime license, which is different. We call this our amazing offer. You can buy any one of our bots like TrendBot or the others, and you get 4 more for free. And you choose which 5 you want, and you can swap any of them out for another one to replace it. If you get bored, don't like it, don't understand it, just want to try something different forever. On the lease options, you can get effectively a 3-for-1 here. You can either lease one bot for 1 month and get it for 3 months instead of 1, or you can get 3 bots for 1 month. And you just have to basically email me and I'll make it happen. And then we have a general offer this year for any new customer who's never bought a product from us. On your single first product, whether it's a lease or a purchase, you can get a 50% discount using that same promo code. But that's only good if you've never bought a product from us before. So those are our special offers, which I promised. And here's a summary of some of the key URLs, our website, our place, the website purchase page, And again, there's one for each bot, but that's very obvious to see when you go on our website. The YouTube channel in case you want to see the bots working live. Small video clips, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. My email in case you need to contact me. Any questions you have, if anything was unclear. And the Futures Trading Club, we may move to YouTube in the future. We're playing with that right now, but I'm going to continue to use Zoom every morning. These credentials have not changed for a year. Simple passcode, FTC for Futures Trading Club. Just have to remember those numbers. So thank you. The hour is up in 3 minutes.